Her name is Audrey Jerome. I'd like to welcome you to hear her story as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, how she has supported not only her family, but her husband in pursuing his passion and his dream. So welcome, Audrey.
Thank you, Kina.
I'm so delighted that you've made this time. Welcome me.
It's lovely to meet
home.
you.
So, Audrey, tell me, you are a wife, a mother, and a grandmother.
Definitely.
I know your story is one from, with your husband, is from humble beginnings.
Yes.
To like, now we're seeing all this blessing, all this wealth that you
Yes.
have. How did you get here?
Well, it's just quite a long story because I've been married 53 years. We've both been married 53 years. And we met in Italy when I was very young and he was 19. And he didn't have a car. And we kind of got together in the West End and we'd meet. And I would eat before he got there because I earned £1 more. So I'd eat my sandwich quickly. And if he said, do you want anything to eat? I'd say, no, I'm fine, I'm full up. But really, I paid for my own sandwich.
You paid for your own sandwich?
Before he got there, so I didn't want him to spend his money because I was earning £1 more than he was. That's true. And he didn't have a car, so he had to come on 2 trains to see me at my house in North London. And then he did get a car eventually. And then we were our first house, and you know, it kind of went on from there. And then we had 2 children. And they grew up, and then we moved to Los Angeles. So it's all kind of, you know, you can say it quickly, but it took many, many years over these past 50 years.
Audrey, here you are. I met you as a housewife.
Yes.
Was there any sacrifices you've had to make? Were you not, didn't you have a job?
I did. I had, with my friend, a boutique in Essex, which I loved. I loved doing the buying. We used to go to Paris and I just loved all that. But when David had to move to America to open a factory there to make the product, the spray, he said he'd have to stay for a little while, 2-3 weeks, and that went into months. And he said, why don't you come over here and we'll live here for 2 years? And I really didn't want to at all. But I made a conscious decision that I would sell my part of the boutique, and it was either go with him and see what life would be like in America, or stay in Essex and with my children, my friends and my boutique and my family, my parents. And I thought, well, 2 years, I could probably do 2 years if I come back a lot. You know, so I kept thinking I'd fly back every few months, which actually I did. But the 2 years turned into 10 years, 11 years almost. And so I felt that I did give all that up, but I did return very often. I was always coming back, especially when my children came back to England as well. I would come back. So I felt that I was sacrificing my career as having a boutique and doing the buying, which I absolutely loved. And when I got out there, I thought, what could I do here? So I did get a job in a boutique in the local mall, which was fine, except it wasn't doing well at the time anyway, but so that closed down. But so I wanted to do something. Then I thought, well, I might as well travel with David. So we did all the hair shows every week, sometimes back to back for months. And we'd travel all over America, everywhere, Chicago, Orlando, everywhere, doing the show. And also China and other places. I can't remember them actually, lots of different places. So we did that.
So tell me, you're just saying hair shows. There's something big behind that. It's just not a hair show.
No, they're hair cosmetic shows. And
tell us about the company.
Yes, it's called Jerome Russell Cosmetics, it was called. And we made hair sprays for coloured hair sprays, coloured glitter and bright colours, neon colours, that kind of thing. And also other creams and nail varnishes and all different products.
How did you start the business?
Well, David started it here in England, making a glitter spray. And it's my father, actually, that thought it'd be a good idea if he got into American companies, big Walgreens, big supermarkets over there. So my father kind of got in touch with, I think he had a friend who was an attorney there, and he found out a few different things. I can't remember exactly. But next day I knew David had flown to New York, and he was doing variety merchandise show, I think it was. It might have been a hair show, I can't remember now. And I think he went with his brother. And the next time I went with, and it was always in February, so it was always thick snow and ice. and but very, very busy in those days, and don't know what it's like now. And we were very busy, and everybody loved it. It was a fun product. The American loved it. All the buyers loved it, and we started doing very well. And so from there, he came back eventually, and he said, "Well, maybe," I said we should live out there, which we did, and we made the product out there, and still carried on doing the hair shows, merchandise shows, all kinds of different kind of variety shows that we did. And they loved it. They loved the product, and it did very, very well.
But your business was growing.
Definitely growing.
And you guys were successful.
Yeah, and actually it was another sacrifice I made, because he wanted to come back after about 11 years. He said, "I think we should sell the company and move back to England. I miss my family and friends." And I loved my life at that point there.
You loved your life
in California.
America.
Yeah, I loved my house. I loved my life, and my kids would visit, and my friends would visit. We'd go to Hawaii to work, and I suddenly thought, "Oh, no, this is a really good life. Do I want to go back?" And then I got persuaded to go back, so we did, which was fine. Didn't mind, you know, and it was fine. We came back here, which was okay. But at the time, I had to be really persuaded, because I really did not want to leave California.
So the first time you made your sacrifice, you had to leave your home.
Yes, exactly.
England.
I never thought of it, yes. And the second time, I had to leave my home in Los Angeles.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, your husband used to travel. How did you manage with the absence of not having your husband most of the time at home?
Well, I tell you something, it was kind of easy and I didn't mind. It was difficult if something broke down, for instance, a dishwasher broke or something he's good at managing things like that. So, yeah, it was difficult also when I'm socialising and thought, "Oh, I wish my husband was here," because I was like on my own. But other than that, I just got on with it. I had my own boutique and went buying with my friend, and I just got on with it, really. I don't think it was a problem. Drove everywhere, drove the kids everywhere. I don't remember it being a problem.
So it was never a problem.
Yeah.
Now, there might be someone watching there right now where it might be a couple, a husband has a dream, maybe pursuing a certain business or a calling or a dream, and equally the wife also has a strong passion in following their career and their dreams. Is there any advice you would advise? Maybe someone's deciding, what do I do? What would you advise a person who's in that situation at the moment?
I think if they really want to follow their dreams, then they have to really be ambitious enough to do that. And they have to not just lay around at home or something, just go out and do as much as they can to work, which my husband has, and to work his way up and up and up until you become what becomes your dream reality.
Thank you. Now, Audrey, tell me, as a mother of two beautiful children, and now you've got two grandchildren, what did you find most challenging raising your children?
Well, they're quite good. They were good. Didn't do anything really, really bad at all. In fact, my youngest daughter was extremely good.
Why I'm saying this is because your husband was away most
I know,
of the
it
time.
didn't matter. I don't think it mattered at all. I don't remember David having any input anyway, particularly. He never came to school nights or teachers' meetings, or I don't think he ever read a report or anything. No, I just kept it all to myself. I did everything. If there was a problem, which actually I still do, I keep it to myself. I actually don't tell. In fact, my rule is not to tell him anything. That is my rule. I don't tell him anything. I really don't.
What?
No, seriously. I don't, honestly. I keep it all to myself. And no, I just get on with it. I just do. I don't know. So having an absent husband, I don't think I found it particularly difficult, except maybe socially I did. But to do with the children, who by that time probably teenagers, I don't think I did. And he'd come back every few months or whatever it was.
And then when you moved to America, you said your children had moved back to the UK.
They came with us for Danielle came for about 3 weeks, and Justine stayed about 6 months, and I brought her friend with, and they both went to school, which I know the school very well now, but then I didn't. And they didn't particularly get on well at the school, but they stayed 6 months, she said, and then she came back to England just for her 17th birthday. And now, so no, it was never...
So at one point, your husband was absent, and some other point, your children were absent.
And I was on my own.
Isn't that interesting that you know, an ideal world.
No, but when the children came back, I thought, what am I going to do now? I thought, I'm only here for him, so I might as well travel with him. So I started travelling every time he was away. I went with him, almost every time, almost. So I'd travel with him, we'd do the flights, we'd do the back-to-back shows, we'd stay in hotels. And the day he would set up the show, that was my day off. So I'd always tour wherever I was, New Orleans or wherever it was, I'd do a touristy bus ride or whatever, you know. So I got to know all the cities we were in. And and then we stayed in the hotel. So that wasn't a problem.
So Jerome Russell Cosmetics. It was. So what happened to the business?
Well, we sold out. We sold the company when David decided to sell the company and to move back to England, which was in 1996, I think it was. I think it was 96 or 97. And we moved back to England. That's what we did. So.
How was it? Because apparently that was like his passion. He was passionate about that.
I know. And my daughter and I said, Daddy cannot retire. He must not retire. He just loves work. And he said at that particular point in time, he said, I'm just tired and I just want to sell the company, which we did.
But tell me, Audrey, your husband's story, which we'll be talking to him, is one of rags to riches.
It is,
but
yes.
What made him acquire the success that
I think he was just had this drive from being an East End boy, like a lot of East End boys, we know who have done very well, Alan Sugar and boys like that, have done very well. It was just this drive to get out of the East End, I expect. I mean, I never lived in the East End, so I don't know. And also I think he held my father in quite high esteem. And my father had come from very, very poor background, but he'd also built himself up to being just an engineer. He invented sewing machines and big sewing presses, and he made it all himself. And he just thought my father had done very, very well, and I think that was his ideal. His father hadn't, but I think seeing my dad achieve his dream. My father had a Rolls Royce a couple of years after he met me. I think after David met me, and he just built it up himself. And I think, I've never actually asked him about that, but I think that was his drive to succeed.
So in some ways, your father was like an inspiration to him.
Definitely. I think he would admit that, definitely, yeah.
And, like your father, you come from a well-to-do family.
Not really. That's the only, till my father did well eventually. He was an engineer, but the phone rang and he'd say, they say, could you come and mend my machine? And he'd say, well, if you want the boss, that'd cost you £10. If you want the apprentice, that'd got you £8, whatever it was, And he was both. He was the same person, so it didn't matter. He only had himself working there. So he would go. It didn't matter what they said. It was only him anyway. So he built himself up to a nice little engineering company.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Audrey, what are you passionate about?
I'm passionate about my kids, and particularly my grandchildren, my granddaughters, who I'm absolutely obsessed with. My granddaughters are now 18. I loved it when they were tiny babies, and they'd fight over my hands and who wanted to sit next to me, and they'd fight to hold my hand and my arm. And I'm in touch with them constantly. I track them, which they know about, so I know where they track them. Yeah, and they both know. I know exactly where they are every minute of the day. Even one's in America, one's in Los Angeles, and one's in London. And they know that. And I've explained it to them. I have to know, because God forbid anything happens, most terrible things can happen to children. I like to know at least where they are or where they've been or whatever, So yes, I do track them. And so I'm very close to them.
And they're your passion.
I would say they are. I would definitely say they are.
Good. Audrey, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kina, for coming.
It's been just a delight talking to you. And we do look forward to talking to David Jerome to hear more about his passion and
he would talk a lot.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Very nice meeting you.
Thank you for watching. This is Conversations with Kina.
Thank you.
Thanks.